So I make it a point that when I'm drinking tea, I'm also reading something. It can be a book, but I'm not looking at my phone. My mother and father both are avid readers. Like I think I got that from both of them. Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown.
Yeah, Dan Brown.
And she was actually narrating the story to me. Okay, very briefly. I'm born and brought up Catholic. So I could associate with that book. Like it's actually a fiction based on Jesus's life.
It's a very well-researched fiction.
I have experienced this in the past, and recently I got to know that there's something known as lucid dreaming,
where you
wherein
can control your actions.
Yeah.
I felt something hold me
Okay.
right over here.
You could physically feel it.
I could feel it. Okay. So I tried moving. I could not move. I woke up and I saw a figure.
Okay.
Kind of a shadow that just behind near the bed.
I have had only one experience. I've heard a lot of experiences that have happened with my parents and my sister that time. So one night when I woke up, I saw a figure standing there.
Okay.
It was a silhouette of light. Okay. But I knew it was a girl.
There's a possibility that I might never experience a haunting in my life. Okay. And similar cases for a lot of people.
People were like talking about Alchemist, Secret, these are like very good books. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, the story is about a seagull that everybody demotivates.
Okay.
Okay, and then he achieves something like that.
Think of the date once. Now, for the very first time, can you tell everyone what is the birth date?
It's my father's birthday. My God.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Insightful Talks with Kunal. Today's podcast is going to be a bit different because today we don't have any topic. Today, I have here with me a very good friend of mine and also a subscriber. Now, like I said, today's podcast is going to be very different and it doesn't have any topic. And the best part of this is the podcast can go in any direction. Now, we do have a starting point. Our guest today reads a lot of books. And like you know, books are a bundle of knowledge. So the topic can be anything. It can go in any direction. So even I'm excited for that. So everyone, let's welcome Anisha. Hello, Anisha. How
Hello,
are you?
Kunal. I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing great. So, like I said, today we do not have any particular topic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Even I do not know what we might talk about.
Yeah.
I just know that you read a lot of books, and I just thought, let's talk books, right?
Yes. Let's just talk books.
Let's talk books, like infinite topics.
Yeah.
So be it a children's book, or a novel, or non-fictional, or anything. So it can be anything, right?
Yeah.
So you have read a lot of books. I have read a few books. I was once a very, what do you say?
Avid reader. I think that time you had the time also.
I had the time. Right now, I just read books that are
in your spare time.
That are related to my profession.
Okay.
I do have a lot of books, but I don't get time to read. But still, I do remember some of those. Okay. But before we start, I'm going to show something to you because, like, I'm a mentalist, right?
Yes.
So I read minds.
Yeah.
So we'll start the podcast with a quick mind reading.
Okay.
Okay. So right now, I want you to think of, let's say, a date.
Okay.
A birth date
Mm-hmm.
of a person that is close to you.
Okay.
Or any special person, be it your friend or anyone. But make sure I do not know that person, because if I know that person, I'll already know their birth date. Okay.
You don't know the person as in you've not met the person,
Met the
right?
person,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay,
And
got it.
I could not know the birth date.
Okay.
You have one in mind?
Yes.
Okay. Now, mind it, I haven't ever asked you the birth date, or neither you have written it down somewhere. It's just in your mind right now.
Yeah.
So I'll just look at you and try to get the birth date. Okay. Think of the birth date in your mind over and over again. Okay. First the date, then the month, then the date, then the month. Perfect. Now this date is somewhere towards the end of the month. Am I right?
Yes.
It's not a 1 or a 2. It's somewhere between 20s and 30s.
Correct.
Or 31st. Oh, okay. Depends on the length of the month. But if I say between 20 to 31st, it's somewhere at the beginning. Like 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. It's somewhere between those. Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Now think of the month. Now the month is somewhere towards, not exactly towards the end, it's somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
But slightly towards the end. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have something over here, a piece of paper. I'm going to write something over here and I'm going to show it to everyone.
Okay.
And after that, I'm going to ask you what the birth date is. Okay. And if you're comfortable, you can also share whose birthday it is.
Okay.
That's totally fine. You don't have to. Think of the date once, the first digit, and the second digit. So my birth date is 24th of September. The date you're thinking is also the 24th, am I right?
Yes.
Now, coming to the month, it's somewhere close to September. It can be October, it can be July, it can be August, it can be November. Look at me, think of the month.
I'm getting nervous while you are writing.
No, but yeah, but
I think you guessed it right.
And you have never said this to me.
No. There's no
I'm
way.
going to show it to everyone. Don't look at it. Okay, don't look at it. I think she's thinking of this exact same date. Now, for the very first time, can you tell everyone what is the birth date?
It's 24th August. It's my father's birthday. My God. How did you guess it?
It was not a guess. It was.
Yeah,
it was a hit. It was a hit.
Yes.
It was a hit. 24th August.
Yeah,
right?
It's my father's birthday.
Father's birthday. There you go. You can keep this. This one is for
Thank
you,
you.
so that you remember a moment like this happened.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we are done with this, let's start the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. So books. So Anisha, you had told me like you read a lot of books. Even now, whenever you get free time, you read books. When was the last time first time you remember you started reading books?
So reading books.
Not school books, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
So reading books is one of the only hobbies I remember that I've continued all throughout my years.
Okay.
So the first time I started reading was when I was maybe 6-7 years old.
6-7.
Yeah. And at that age, I did not read in my mind. I used to read loudly.
Loudly.
Yeah. Like reading aloud.
Reading aloud, yeah.
And I used to love listening to the to my own voice. Okay. So that is how I started. And slowly when I grew up, I learned how to read in my mind. So that's how you read actually.
Yeah.
And initially my interest started with a comic which people our age would know, that is Tinkle Digest.
Tinkle Digest.
So
yeah,
my interest started from there.
Okay.
Also because I started reading as a kid, what attracted me to that comic book was it has pictures and those bubbles,
yeah.
With the dialogues.
The usual comic style.
Yes. So that is how I started. So I'm very familiar with. Have you ever read Tinkle?
A lot. I used to have a lot of books. So I also have a lot of interesting incidents with Tinkle. Like there are a lot of stories like Supandi, and
Kalia the Crow,
Kapish the Monkey,
Tantri the Mantri. These are like common stories throughout Tinkle volumes. Okay. And every Tinkle volume, like comic book, will have a unique story.
Yeah.
So that was for me, that was the USP for Tinkle for me.
So apart from the usual ones, Supandi and all, there used to be different stories which was special.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you one incident. Okay. So what happened was, right now I like South Indian food a lot.
Okay.
So my encounter with dosa, first time the word dosa I read in Tinkle book.
Okay.
So I used to wonder what exactly this is. Dosa, what is it? So I asked my mom, like, what is this? Then I think she made it or someone made it, and I had dosa.
Okay.
Since then, it has been my favorite.
Yeah.
So the first encounter with dosa was the word.
The word
was
dosa
from
was
that
Tinkle.
comic Tinkle.
Okay.
It was a very interesting story.
I think I have similar story like that, but I mean, it was just limited to what that food item was, medu vada.
Medu vada, okay.
Yeah, I read it in one of the, and because I'm from Assam, so like in a regular Assamese household, you won't find medu vada
exactly.
made on a regular basis.
Medu vada or dosa
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that, yeah.
So that was something that interested me also.
Same here.
So yeah, food is something I think that is it's something that people connect to very
Correct.
easily. So when I'm reading those stories, okay, what is medu vada? I wanted to know, and then maybe I must have gone and asked my mother, what does this mean, how it is made, and
Yeah.
things like that. I don't remember having medu vada at that time, but yeah, I do know that I associated with a kind of food
Yeah.
while reading Tinkle. Yeah, so then apart from Tinkle, at that age, I used to read, like you did say that not the school books, but I would like to mention a few school story books that we read, because we had this subject called English 3.
Okay.
So there we had story books that we had to
Storybooks.
read and then give exams also on those. So a few that I can remember are Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn. These are like common books that I think students of
Yeah, there was also one called David Copperfield.
David Copperfield,
yeah.
David Copperfield, and we had Jane Eyre. So these are good books, and they are books that talk about adventure of young kids, young children. Jane Eyre was a book on a lady called Jane Eyre, and at that age, the age that the book was based on, like women were not very independent, or they were not very um, uh, I'm not getting the word actually. Women that are today, like independent, they have their own opinion.
Yeah.
They are they're very forward thinking.
Exactly.
So Jane Eyre at that time was like that. So that stood out for me at that time.
Also acted as an inspiration or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yes, you can say that, because the kind of person I am, I could associate with her. Not that it was not like inspiration as in, oh, I want to become like. At that time I never thought. I just read. I knew that this girl was a little different, and yeah, it stayed with me.
Yeah. Okay.
Then apart from that, at that time I used to read a lot of non-fiction. Sorry, not fiction.
Fiction, yeah.
So once I got into the habit of reading, with these are all small books, right? So the first big book I like, big as in the thick books, novels, you can say.
Yeah.
So the first novel I remember reading was of Daniel Steele.
Okay.
So Daniel Steele usually writes love stories, those intense love stories. I remember one that was loosely based on the Titanic. So some such story, like there was a shipwreck and two lovers and things like that. Then during that time, I remember a slightly controversial author called Sidney Sheldon.
Yeah.
I tried reading one book called Bloodline, but since there were too many characters, I couldn't keep a track of that, so I gave up.
I think that's mostly focused towards adults.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had access to that book.
Okay.
Even though, like, people would say, oh, you're reading Sidney Sheldon. I like, they, you raise eyebrows, but yeah, I knew people my age reading those kind of books also.
Yeah. Something on similar lines, I think I had read this one, The Bourne Identity.
Okay.
And there's also a famous
movie on that.
series on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
I think it's by Robert Ludlum.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, The Godfather.
Yeah.
Godfather also, there's a series of movie.
It's a book also?
It's a book.
Okay.
The movie is based from the book itself.
Okay, okay.
And after that, there were a lot of similar kind of movies in India also. A lot of similar kind of movies were
Okay,
made.
okay, okay. So it looks like our interests are slightly different. Were slightly different at that time.
At that time, yeah.
Then when I reached high school, I remember my mother and father both are avid readers. Like, I think I got that from both of them.
Yeah.
My mother reads a lot of novels. I have seen my father reading a lot of comic books.
Okay.
Okay. So they also had a collection of books, comic books called Blue Jeans. They were like Blue Jeans.
Blue Jeans.
Yeah, it's not very common because I've not seen it or heard it anywhere else. So they are stories, or they are love stories basically,
Okay.
of those young aged college lovers, stories like that.
Okay.
I've never read them, but I remember a stack of books at our house, like of blue jeans.
Okay.
Then, since my mother is also a reader, she introduced me to this book called Da Vinci Code
Da
by
Vinci
Dan
Code,
Brown.
yeah, Dan Brown.
And she was actually narrating the story to me.
Okay.
Okay, very briefly. She and I'm born and brought up Catholic, so I could associate with that book. Like it's actually a fiction based on Jesus's life.
It's a very well researched fiction.
Yes,
If
yes,
you would say that,
yeah,
because
it'll convince you.
because I remember reading that book, and
Yeah.
also the other ones, Angels and Demons.
Yeah.
And also there was one, I don't remember the name. It was based on Antarctica
Okay,
by the same author.
Dan Brown.
I don't remember the name. I'll just
Okay,
have
okay.
to look at it. But I remember reading the book and thinking it's real.
Yes.
So it's so well researched, and
Yeah.
even the places over there. So this reminded me of the very recent series that I saw on television. It's an Indian series. It's known as The Secret of the Siladas.
Okay.
So Siladas are basically the keepers of the treasure of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
Oh, okay.
So Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj left a lot of treasure, okay, hidden,
Okay.
and those were guarded by the Shiladas.
Okay.
And when I also that's also is based on a novel.
Okay.
So that reminded me of the research that Dan Brown did, because even this seems to be a fiction, but it's so well researched with real places, real forts and all, real places, the treasure hunt and all. So that reminded me of that book, Dan Brown's book, because if you remember the way he wrote the book, citing the actual places,
Yes.
actual the you remember the picture.
It has a reference to the picture called the Last Supper.
Last Supper.
Yes.
So,
So if you go to any Catholic household or Christian household, you will always see that at the dining place. They will always. We also have that just above the dining table. So that's a very common picture that you'll see. So the book has a reference to that.
Yeah. So it's so well researched. I loved reading that book.
Yeah. Then after Dan Brown, I also read another one, which my mother told me the story like when I was a kid, but I recently read that book, and that would also interest you a lot, because it is it's a fact. True account of a psychologist. Okay.
Written by a true someone who actually faced it. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a true account of a psychologist, and he writes about his experiences with his patients. Okay. And the book also questions whether reincarnation and rebirth, are they real?
Okay.
Because in that book the psychologist has made notes, recorded sessions wherein like suppose the patient comes okay with a certain kind of phobia. So a psychologist has different methods of treating a patient, right? Therapist, psychologist, because psychologist, therapist, psychologist, because I was just thinking of the other word, that is psychiatrist.
That's
so that is
something
different.
yeah.
They prescribe medicines and all. So this was a therapist slash psychologist. So he says that there was a patient that came in, and she had a certain phobia.
Sorry to interrupt you. What's the name of the book? Because I somewhat recount something similar. My aunt read and told me the story.
Okay, so the book's name is Many Lives, Many Masters.
Many Lives, Many Masters. Yeah,
okay, so the name of the book itself gives a hint.
Yeah, because I remember my aunt reading this book and telling me this is a very interesting book.
Yes.
So yeah,
and it is not commonly found, because like that time my mother read it from a library that was available, because that time we were in a tea garden, right? So she read it from the library that she got, and when I told her that I actually got the book and it's with me, she was like, please get it next time when you come home, because she wants to read it again. So like coming back to the story, so the psychologist recounts of how a patient, they have a phobia of, say, water or fire. Like it's a serious phobia, okay? And in the hypnotherapy, it is the psychologist discovers that in the past life this person died through drowning or died in a fire.
Okay.
So, and these are facts recorded by certified, you can say psychologists are certified doctors.
Okay.
So that again leaves you thinking that people talk about reincarnation, rebirths. Are they real?
So does this person use hypnosis to figure out all this information?
Yes. So hypnosis is a method of treating the patient, and through hypnosis he also discovered this.
Okay.
And that book also it also mentions that if with that particular patient, whoever was in that person's life in the previous birth was also there in this birth, like the father, the patient's father, mother, fiance, were around that person in this life also.
Okay.
So that was also discovered. Now obviously this is a podcast and your viewers are watching it, so not everybody will accept it, not everybody believes this concept.
See, it is a debatable thing.
Correct.
And it is something that is unknown to science.
Yes.
Okay. So being myself being a student of science, okay, so I have this principle. Okay. So if something is not proven, doesn't mean that doesn't exist.
Correct.
So very perfect example is Galileo Galilei. Okay. He was earlier there used to be a lot of influence of the church.
Yes.
When Galileo said that Earth revolves around the sun, he was, what do you say, church se nikal dena, like what do you say, like outcasted from the church, saying, because they used to believe that Earth is the center and the entire universe rotates around it. Okay. And people did not believe his saying that the Earth rotates around Earth and the other planets rotate around the sun.
Yes.
So after that, when it was proved, then after that people started believing it.
Okay.
So similarly in this case, if something doesn't make sense to us, doesn't mean it's not real.
Yes.
It's still yet to be proven.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But having said that, our minds, see, this is just a speculation. Okay, we are just discussing. So our minds work in a very strange way. Okay. So everything is recorded in our minds. Now, when you're hypnotizing someone, because I do hypnosis in my shows as well.
Yes, I know.
So when you hypnotize someone, you can go into the deepest corners of your mind.
Correct.
Okay.
The subconscious
mind. And your mind can, that is one of the possibility. I'm saying, I'm talking about both sides of the coin. Your mind can create stories.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Take for example your dreams. Your dreams are another entirely different reality.
Yes.
Am I right or not?
Correct.
You see something that hasn't even happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You create stories in your mind. That's the way our brain functions. Because when you sleep, your brain doesn't sleep. It has to work. Yeah. Because if your brain doesn't work, you are not alive anymore. Now, in this case, the another side of the coin can be the brain creating a story to logically define the fear. Logically make sense of the fear. Yeah. That maybe I drowned in the river. That's why I'm afraid of water. Okay. So that is one of the possibilities. What do you say? A logical possibility.
Yes, true.
And the other side of the coin is the person actually is reborn from that accident. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is you have to accept both the sides of the coin.
Yeah, and
until it's proven.
Yeah, and I think what explanation you gave is very logical.
Yeah.
Like I've had psychology in my college days, like 11th and 12th. So in psychology, what we studied is that our conscious mind, like we are talking now, right? Whatever we are talking is making sense to each other. So a conscious mind is just a tip of the iceberg. So you know what an iceberg, how huge that can be, right?
Yeah.
So a subconscious mind, where you said that it's making stories,
exactly.
Or it could have memories stored in it. That is the submerged part, not the tip.
Not the tip.
So if the tip is this much, the submerged part is the rest of it.
It can be huge.
It can be
a lot of
huge.
information.
So yeah. So it could be either of those
Either
two.
of those. So
Yeah.
we cannot, what do you say? We cannot say this is not true, and you cannot say
Yeah,
this is
you
also
cannot
not
be
true.
certain.
Certain. It's
Yeah, you
uncertain.
cannot. Yeah.
And similar thing is for our belief system.
Yes.
See, until we see it, until we do not see it, we cannot say this is true or this is false.
Yes.
It's about the belief that you have.
Correct. Correct. And also, this book also questions that we talk about, like, we have this belief that once a person dies,
Mhm.
then you, in the Hindu tradition, you have you have a ceremony called the Shraddh after 13 days, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
So between those days, it is believed that the spirit of the person, which is, it's not, what do you call it? A spirit is not a tangible. Can I use the word
Yeah.
tangible?
It's not a tangible.
You cannot touch,
Touch
you
it.
you cannot hold it, you cannot touch it. It's intangible. It's like the air. You
Air.
can't see it, right?
Mhm.
So this book also questions that, suppose if I am dead, Anisha is dead today,
Mm.
where will my spirit go?
Okay.
Okay. Does it move into another body,
Mhm.
or where is it? Is it just in the universe? What happens to it?
So that is what I was talking about. That is not known to us.
Yes.
And we can just speculate.
Yes.
That this can be true or this can be
Yes.
true. I had heard of a very interesting theory where I heard that we are dreaming right now.
Hmm.
We are just dreaming right now. This is a dream.
Okay.
And the moment we die, we wake up.
Oh, okay.
That's something to be thought about.
Yeah.
Okay. And you cannot disprove this because no.
So what's happening right now? We are dreaming.
It's dream. It's a dream.
Once I die, I wake up.
Like for example, when you dream, when you're inside a dream, you do not know that's a dream.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you wake up, then you think, oh, that was a dream.
Yeah. But have you like, I have experienced this in the past, and recently I got to know that there's something known as lucid dreaming.
Lucid dreaming, where you
wherein
can
you can
control your actions.
dream. Yeah. I have dreamt those dreams also.
Yeah, that we do have those dreams occasionally.
Yes.
And I'm sure most of our viewers have had that as well. So
Yeah.
that is a scientific phenomenon where you can actually control your actions.
Yeah.
And the other scary part of that is not the lucid dream combined with what do you say that sleep paralysis.
Oh God.
That you have faced that, right? And I have faced that as well.
See, sleep paralysis, I'm not sure if I've had sleep paralysis, but lucid dreaming I've had, wherein I know, okay, I'm dreaming,
Yeah,
and I'm not liking the dream, so I'm
Okay.
coming out. I'll
Coming
wake
out.
up now. I have had that experience.
Okay.
Not very often, but rare.
Now, since we are talking about this specific topic,
Mm.
sleep paralysis, I'm going to tell you an interesting incident that happened to me when I was in college.
Wait, let me guess. Is it scary? Because all the sleep paralysis
It-
instances I've heard are scary.
It is scary. It is scary.
Mhm.
Okay, and touch wood. After that, I never have faced. I don't know about tonight, but
You should not.
I hope I don't get it. But even if I get it, right now I'm that strong enough that I can handle it.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm not challenging anyone. I'm not challenging the spirits
Yeah,
around.
no.
I'm just saying.
Neither me. I don't want to have any sleep paralysis. Yeah.
Okay, so what happened is this started. It happened continuously actually
Okay.
for a week or so.
Oh, okay.
So it started when I was sitting sleeping, but this side, like sideways.
On your side,
sideways.
yeah.
Okay. I woke up. Now let me tell everyone what sleep paralysis actually is. Sleep
Okay.
paralysis is when you wake up,
Hmm.
but you cannot move.
You're conscious, but you're not moving.
You are, you're not moving.
Yeah.
You're awake, you're not moving. And when combined with lucid dreaming, that becomes completely scary because you see a lot of things.
Okay.
See, it's a combination of lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
Lucid dreaming is something like that. You're dreaming, but you know that you're dreaming.
Yes. Yes.
It's real.
Yeah.
And when you're facing sleep paralysis, you cannot move.
Hmm.
Now, what happens is you wake up, you see things around you,
Hmm.
your surroundings, and you also see some figures.
Yeah, that's common.
Like
That's
a
common.
common
Yes,
thing,
that's
right?
a common thing. Yeah.
So what happened was I was by the side.
Okay.
So I did not see anything at the first instance. I felt something hold me
Okay.
right over here.
You could physically feel it.
I could feel it.
Ah.
Okay. So I tried moving. I could not move.
Hmm.
It was like completely paralyzed. That was the first instance. After a few moments, like all sleep paralysis happened, it faded away. I woke up. The next day, I was sleeping straight. Okay, and the edge of the bed was behind me, the backrest that you have, and at the front there was a door. I woke up, okay, and it was not night. Okay, it was night, and people in college hostel, they sleep late. So my roommate wasn't asleep. He was roaming around somewhere. So the light, the
Was
bulb light was switched on, not the main light.
Okay.
I woke up and I saw a figure,
Okay.
kind of a shadow that just behind near the bed. Okay, nothing clear, just a shadow. I was scared. I closed my eyes. I was still awake. The moment I opened, I could see it. And after that, when immediately with a jerk, when I woke up, it's gone. So that used to happen a lot of times.
Okay.
And at one point of time, I got used to it, because when you wake up, then after that you realize that this is sleep paralysis. If you know it's a sleep paralysis, okay. So after some point of time, it was like common.
So you've seen that figure the whole week, like when you were experiencing.
Yes, at that time it was clear because the light was on.
Okay.
The bulb light was on. Later on, it was just shadow because it was dark.
Okay.
At night time.
In the same place you saw.
Same place, yeah. So after that, at one point of time, I could actually control over the fear.
Okay.
I could realize that this is just a dream.
Okay. And you were sure that was sleep paralysis, or
that
you
was
were
sleep
just
paralysis.
awake?
That was sleep paralysis.
Okay.
Because
yeah, please continue. I don't want to cut you.
Because at one point of time, I could just just force myself to wake up and say go away, like that.
Okay.
At one point, I just did. I said go away, and it didn't happen after that.
That's actually a very strong sense of control that you've had that time, because not many know what to do during that time.
Yeah, because I think most of the ghost incidents that people say can be logically defined this way.
Yes.
Can be logically defined. So because I was dreaming and seeing the figure, because I am scared, because I can't move. Because the first time I was by the side, I did not see anything. The second day when it happened, I got scared, because that was the experience that I had faced previously.
Yes.
So my mind could have created a story of a ghost.
Possible. Yeah, possible. Like, we are not denying the fact that there was nothing there, but it could be possible that your mind was creating a story. So what stood out to me that in your your experience was that the first day you had your sleep paralysis, you were sleeping on your side and you felt a touch. Okay, so it was a touch or a grab. I mean, was it?
It was a kind of a pressure. Like most sleep paralysis people, they feel a pressure on the chest.
Yes, yes. So what was unique in your case was that you're sleeping on your side. Whatever sleep paralysis experiences I've heard from real people, I mean from real people, known people, and from I'm a huge consumer of YouTube. So from both the platforms, I've heard that it usually happens when you're sleeping on your back.
Yeah.
Sleep paralysis, and one common experience is that somebody is sitting on their chest.
Yeah.
So it could be a pressure which they define as somebody sitting on their chest.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard something like this was from my aunt. Okay, so back home, my father's youngest sister, she had one such experience wherein she said that she experiences somebody sitting on her chest, and I very vaguely remember she mentioned that it was a man.
Okay.
So that's very scary.
Yeah.
So after that, like, we bless our house, right? We call a priest and we bless. So that is what they did. And that time I never came across this word sleep paralysis. So I didn't know what it was. Okay. I just knew that, oh, maybe the house is haunted, something like that. So that was that was the first time I heard some such story. And then very later on in life, like after I went to college, and like recently I heard this word sleep paralysis. Right. And it's very common actually. Many people experience, and it's the similar thing they experience. So it could be from, listening, like, see, we are discussing now.
Can be.
So some people are listening to us.
Yeah.
So it could be through that also.
So like I said, mind is a very powerful thing.
Yes.
So mind can store a lot of information
Yes.
that you even do not know you are
Correct,
recording it.
correct.
So it can be possible.
Correct.
So we just got diverted from our topic.
That is
was
books.
the
Yeah.
hypnosis part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one interesting book I read, and which was different from all the earlier books I'd read. So after that, I started reading non-fiction.
Mhm.
So I've read *Sapiens*.
Sapiens, yeah, it's a very
It's a
interesting
very
book.
informative book. It talks about evolution. It talks about how humans formed societies.
Okay, interesting.
It talks about evolution of human beings as evolution mentally and also physically.
Okay.
Like we've come from apes, right? Scientifically, of course, the Bible or any other religious book says something else, but let's speak scientifically.
That is also debatable, according to me.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk scientifically. We come from apes, right? So
No,
humans.
the one that you are saying, we come from apes,
Okay.
that is debatable.
Okay, so let's stick to what *Sapiens* says.
Okay.
Okay, Yuval Noah Harari. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. So what he says in his book is that we, like, at that time when we originated, there was no concept of countries, not even continents. We were like two land mass where we evolved, right? And initially, like, and there, yeah, like, it is proved that initially human beings are much taller, much more huge, well built as compared to now. Now, if you visit museums, like I've visited this museum in Hyderabad and also in Maharashtra, I visited a museum. The costume of kings are so huge. Like, imagine they were so tall. The costumes, like, if you're standing here, it's like so tall. So
that is a perfect example of evolution.
Yes.
Depending on the lifestyle that you lead.
Yes, yes. And it talks about that how people have shrunk. So one thing I remember was that when human beings at that time, they were Homo sapiens. So we have had different names through centuries. Okay, so as Homo sapiens, maybe we moved to a region called current Asia, wherein food was less. The source of food was less. So those who survived, they got used to consuming less food. Because we were big built, or we were taller, we would require more resources, right? So those who could not survive, they were the ones who did not evolve.
I think those are the Neanderthals.
Yes, yes. I don't remember the exact terms.
When they started walking upright, there was a different group of people who were upright. Those were known as Homo erectus.
Yes.
Then after that, the Homo sapiens, then us Homo sapiens.
Yes.
So I think we branched out from that.
Correct.
And some of the tribes survived, some didn't survive.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. Yes, correct. And currently also, if you see, Asians are smaller built as compared to Europeans or Africans.
Okay.
So that solidifies the fact that whatever,
because of the resources, limited resources.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So that's there.
I think it's mostly again defines evolution. Like, for example, because of that, the genes that started flowing, and the characteristics that showed in the genes.
Yes.
This is a very perfect example, and that too I saw in a reel. Our Madhavan actor, he showed a perfect example. His finger is slightly bent like this.
Okay.
That's by the use of cell phones.
Yes.
He used to hold cell phone. So
yeah.
Because of that, you can see, even if you are a cell phone user, you keep on scrolling to the reels, there is a slight bump over here. Do you have that as well? If you compare your right and left, your right hand has a slight bump.
Maybe.
It might be very little, and some who use their phones a lot, they might have a big bump. Okay. Now, a small bump, and people can check that as well. Now, imagine my genes. Okay. Even if they are not born with the bump, even if they start using the phones and all, okay, then after that same traits get transferred to the future genes, and in future you'll see a generation where their fingers are naturally bent.
Correct.
without even holding the phone.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that is evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So that proves the thing that you said, when they got limited resources, when they got adapted to those limited resources, the what do you say, their bloodline,
Progeny,
progeny
bloodline, they survive.
survived, and
Yeah.
they got the same traits that they had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the ones who got plenty of food, who are tall and heavily built, their generations are similar to them, tall and
Yes.
heavily built.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it talks about that.
Mhm.
Then Sapiens has a lot of interesting it lot of interesting accounts. These are some specific ones that I remember. Then actually you should I mean, I recommend people reading that book because
Yeah.
it's very knowledgeable.
Sapiens.
Sapiens. And then I've read the first autobiography that I read was of Michelle Obama's
Michelle
Becoming.
Obama. Okay.
Again, she's a very strong woman.
Oh, okay.
And I remember something like one part of one story that she has mentioned in her autobiography is that Obama and Michelle, they were traveling somewhere, and they stopped by a restaurant. Okay. And then after the dinner, they found out that the restaurant belongs to Michelle Obama's ex-boyfriend, I think. I'm not very sure, okay? I don't want to, please don't quote me on that. So then Obama tells Michelle that, you would have been so lucky, you would be the owner of this restaurant. So Michelle counters that and tells him that no, he would have been the current president of US.
Oh.
So you get that, like, her thought process.
Yeah.
Like, it's so unique. I mean, I would have never thought that way. So the whole autobiography, her account of her childhood and how she met Obama, and her life as the first lady, the mother of two daughters, and that too, he was the first black president, I think. Yeah, am I right? Yeah.
True.
So he was the first black president. So those kind of things were very interesting in that book.
African
Origin.
American
Yes,
president.
yes, African American.
Yeah.
Plus, she also talks about how she introduced healthy food habits for Americans. American food culture is very infamous. The burgers, the fries.
Yeah.
So you understand where I'm
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
from, right? So they grew organic vegetables in the White House, in the
Okay.
White House garden.
Oh, interesting.
And she used to invite schools, small kids, to come to the garden and do what is that called? I don't know. Have an
Gardening,
off day.
cultivation.
Gardening, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So simple. I forgot the term. Gardening.
Yeah.
And when you introduce children to that, they learn about healthy eating,
Yeah.
where food comes from. It doesn't come from a freezer.
It doesn't come from the supermarket or the
Yes.
freezer. It
Yes.
comes from the farms.
Yes, you can also grow them fresh. So that is what she also, I mean, she was, promoting that big time.
Yeah.
Healthy eating for children.
Because
Then-
although it sounds a bit obvious, but most of the people, especially the kids of a certain society,
Yes.
they do not know where the food comes from.
Yes.
It may sound obvious to people, but that's true.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
So they are very basic things, right? Gardening. We have been exposed to those kind of activities, gardening. Like, your vegetables grow here.
Exactly.
But maybe those children from that society are not.
Not, yeah.
So she was, big, and in a very big way, she was promoting that. Then that is what I remember. My memory is not very sharp, so I'm just recounting whatever I've read in that book.
So what about the fictional books? Like I remember a few of those. Okay, Harry Potter. Have you read Harry Potter?
Oh yes, how did I not mention that?
So quite
the
famous
entire Harry Potter series. Yeah,
I think there were 8 books.
Yes,
8
yes.
books.
And I think after the entire Harry Potter series, there was one more release, right?
Yeah, I haven't.
Muggles.
I haven't read all those.
Yeah,
I think those were the origins and all,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, correct.
Yeah, because it was like after a long gap it came out. I
Yes.
think so.
Yes, yes.
And the most interesting part of Harry Potter for me is I never bought that book.
Yeah, I think even I don't have any of those books.
I never owned any one of those.
Yeah, same here.
The
They were
first
expensive.
they were expensive, and I always got it somehow.
Same here, because I used to borrow. Like
Borrow,
borrowing books was like the in thing that time.
Yeah.
So I buy a book, lend
You
it,
exchange
borrow,
it.
exchange. Yeah.
But why? What I remember about Harry Potter is I specifically remember because that was a series of books,
Yes, yes.
and I did not own a single one of those.
Hmm.
The first one I got it from a friend.
Hmm.
I read it in one night. That was the Philosopher's
Binge
Stone.
reading.
Yeah, Philosopher's Stone. I
Yeah.
read it in
Yeah.
one night, and like I said, I used to be an avid reader.
Hmm.
I used to be crazy about reading books.
Hmm.
So at single night, tomorrow I have a school. My dad said good night, switched off the light. What I did was I took a blanket, covered it, took a torch, and I read the book.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Second book, I got it from the same person.
Hmm.
Third, I got it from a library. I read it in the library itself. I finished it in 2 days.
Hmm.
And then after the fourth, one of my closest friend had it.
Hmm.
Fifth, sixth, seventh from
Hmm.
library.
Hmm.
Eighth again from a friend.
Same. I've never borrowed one from a library, but I've always borrowed it from friends. So I've read all the entire Harry Potter series, watched the movie also, but
Yeah,
trust me, the book has a lot more.
lot of things. And when we, you might remember
Mhm.
when we read the book, the movie wasn't there. So all the characters were in our mind.
Yes.
We created the
Yes,
characters. Yeah.
and we had our own imagination.
Imagination.
We were creating our own movies in our heads.
Exactly.
So, and after reading the book, if you watch the movie, then it's like not. Well, it's like okay.
Okay, and I think that is the most. I think that's the best part about reading without any visual
Yes.
cues,
Yes.
because have you have an imagination,
Yes.
and that strengthens your imagination.
Yes.
That's what happened when we were kids, when you used to read novels. For example, I used to read this book. I'm sure you must have read this as well. Secret Seven and Famous Five,
How
and
could I
Enid
forget?
Blyton. Yeah, so those mini detective series.
Yeah, now that you're mentioning these books, I have a lot in the back of my head that I remember. The
Yeah.
one was very interesting. So when you talk about secrets, I'm sorry to cut you there. I used to read Famous Five,
Famous Five,
okay?
yeah.
And there was this character known called Julian. He was the
Julian.
eldest one, I
Julian,
think.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I had a mini crush on him when I was in school.
And you created an imaginary version of that. Yeah, so that is that thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
So basically you create a person in your mind.
Correct.
And at that age,
Mhm.
it strengthens your imagination.
Yes.
And that is what kids nowadays are missing out.
Correct.
Because of the reels and YouTubes and all. Yeah, exactly. That's the truth.
Yeah.
They don't read books. So the imagination, it doesn't work the same way that we strengthen our imagination.
Correct.
Because we used to create the story in our minds.
Yeah.
I think that is a very good exercise
Yes.
that is supposed to be implemented for kids nowadays as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, see, when you read books, okay, you also improve your vocabulary. That
Vocabulary.
is very important. Okay, so like vocabulary is like a basic requirement of a good conversation. So that improves highly if you're a reader, if you read books.
It is.
Books, anything, not just books. You're reading anything, like you're reading like you said, currently you're more into reading books related to your professional field, right? Yeah. So anything, any books you read, you improve your vocabulary. Now coming back to Famous Five and Secret Seven, yeah, detectives. That was a very. It was also adventurous, right?
Yeah.
And that time, at that age, you are looking for adventure. So this is a like getaway from your normal mundane school and then tuitions. This was like a refreshment for you. I also remember reading another controversial book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Okay.
I think it's banned in the US.
Confessions of
an Economic Hitman.
What is it about?
So I don't have a physical book. I have an do you call it ebook?
It's called ebook.
I have it in a PDF format.
Yeah.
So when I was doing my masters, our HOD suggested this book and she shared it with all of us. And that book is so I'm not getting the word. It is so the reason why it's banned in the US because it talks about the Twin Tower attack.
Oh, okay.
And how President George Bush
Mm-hmm.
was involved in it.
Okay.
And
So that's a conspiracy.
Conspiracy, yeah. It was a conspiracy theory. And there's a profession, okay, called economic hitman.
Okay, now
So
I
that is
understand.
the name of a profession.
Now I get the summary of
You
that.
get the
Yeah,
summary, right?
yeah.
So it talks about that. I'll share that PDF with you.
Sure.
Whenever you have the time, you can read
Sure.
it if you want.
Sure.
So and it talks about, currently there's one topic that is doing the rounds quite a lot, that is geopolitics.
Sorry?
Geopolitics. Are you familiar with? I'm not very familiar because I don't follow politics so much. So geopolitics. So that book talks about geopolitics.
Okay.
And how it plays such a huge role in a country's political and economic situation.
Okay. So have you read this? I just remembered one book from my childhood. It was known as Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. Yes. The name itself says it's a horror book.
Okay.
Targeted for kids.
Kids. Okay.
Okay. So it's written by R.L. Stein.
R.L. Stein. Yeah, the name sounds familiar. Yeah.
So there was also a very interesting book by the same author, or it was Christopher Pike. I just jumbled up two names. Goosebumps was from R.L. Stein, and there was also one person associated with the same book called Christopher Pike. 13 Ghosts was, I think, from either one of those or both of them.
There's a movie also, right? 13 Ghosts.
It's a different.
Okay, the stories are different.
These are 13 stories, 13 ghost stories.
Okay.
So that was also really interesting. And Goosebumps, I remember a few stories from Goosebumps. Like there was one where a ghost possesses a puppet.
Okay.
Puppet, you know.
Sounds
the puppet.
familiar.
I think there's a movie.
There are movies based on that.
Yes, there is a movie called Goosebumps.
Okay.
With the same story.
Oh, okay. Maybe it must be an adaptation.
Adaptation
like
from that movie, and so I just remember that. Have you read Goosebumps?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you one thing. I love listening to horror stories. I'm like crazy. Horror movies, horror stories. I like listening to them or watching them. So but I've never read.
Even I hear a lot of horror podcasts when I'm doing some
Same,
horror. So yeah, it's interesting. Most of the stories that I hear are somewhat bogus. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you get to you understand, you get the vibe.
Yeah. When you're a pro, like when you're an experienced person listening, you know which one is.
You get the vibe. But then again, like I said, it's a debatable thing.
Yeah, correct.
The one who has experience might have experienced something which we might not feel it, or we might say it's not something. But some of the things you can figure out that it's just for the views.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's the thing. And okay, like you said, you like listen to a lot of ghost stories. Have you, like I had shared you my experience with the one with the sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned now, and I just realized it could have been a ghost, and that scares me a lot right now. So have you ever experienced something like this before?
So, like since my childhood, I've listened to a lot of horror stories. Okay, they were all made up. Trust me, they were all made up stories. But let me just give you a background. So I was born and brought up in the tea gardens of Assam. So my father was working in the tea garden. So when you're working in the tea garden, you stay in bungalows.
Bungalows, yeah.
Okay. And these are real bungalows. I'm not talking about the independent houses that you see here. They have huge areas, plus the house will also be huge. Okay. And those houses are built during the British times, not new constructions. Okay. So we used to stay. I have stayed in houses like that. So when houses are old, there is a possibility of hauntings there.
Because there are a lot of people who stayed
there
throughout the time.
It could have been vacant for some time or a long period of time, things like that. So I've had only one experience. I've heard a lot of experiences that have happened with my parents and my sister that time. So I'll tell you what experience I've had. Okay. So we at that time we stayed in a tea garden which was known as Napuk Tea Estate.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you can. I mean, if you want, you can edit the name because
Okay,
I don't
sure.
want to bring about any controversy. So,
Okay. So, which area exactly? If you
so it was in Assam.
Mhm.
I think Sibsagar side,
Sibsagar.
because most of the tea gardens are that side, right? So it was in a city called Sonari.
Sonari, yeah.
Have you heard of
I
that
have heard
name?
of
Because
it.
you're also from Assam, right?
Yeah.
So from there, Arunachal border is very close, I
Hmm.
think, है ना?
Hmm.
So that house was actually earlier a horse stable,
Horse stable. Okay.
and the structure of the house was very long.
Hmm.
Okay, and it was like this block.
Mhm.
Okay, so there was a the hall,
Mhm.
my parents' room, and our room.
Mhm.
So if you had to come out from my and my sister's room, my brother wasn't born then.
Mm.
No, he was born already, but he was just
Very
born.
small.
Yeah. If you had to come out, I had to come out through my parents'
Hmm.
room, and our room also had a door outlet. So then, like suppose this is our bed. My sister and I, we used to sleep together, and our maid, we used to call them Aya. So
Mhm.
she used to sleep down.
Okay.
Okay, and we didn't have cupboards that time. We had this drawers.
Okay.
Are you understanding what I'm saying? Like, it's like a shelf. So you have stack of drawers,
Understood.
and our clothes were kept there.
Understood.
And I could, like, if I wake up from my bed, I can see it right in front of me.
Hmm.
Okay. So one night, if I had to go to the washroom, I had to go to my mom's and dad's room and then the washroom. So one night when I woke up, I saw a figure standing there.
Okay.
Okay. And I couldn't see the figure like properly. It was
A shadow.
silhouette, you can
Silhouette.
say.
Yeah. Silhouette. Yeah.
Huh. It was a silhouette of light.
Okay.
Okay. But I knew it was a girl.
Mhm.
It was a young girl, I think.
Mhm.
And she was wearing a skirt and a shirt.
Okay.
Okay. Like how young girls used to wear that time. It was a long skirt. And then it was very real to me. So I slept back. I didn't go to the washroom. I slept and I covered my whole body. That's how I used to sleep.
Yeah.
In that time, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not, like, I was controlling my breathing also.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that experience
So
was
you
like
were
that.
scared.
Yeah, I was
Of course.
extremely
That's a
scared.
natural reaction.
Yeah. So the next morning when we woke up, my sister had a very high fever. Okay, suddenly. And then I used to wake up late. So my mom got to know my sister had a fever, and so she was not going to school. Then I told my mother that this is what I saw. And my mother didn't tell me anything. I went to school. She told our cook, okay, she told our cook that they used to call us baby. So baby saw this in the room. So he said that since she's gone to school, I think you should check the drawers. So when they checked the drawers, they found leaves and stones in the drawer. That was kept by me and my sister because we used to go out in the lawn in the afternoons, and there was a tree. I don't know if it was a banyan or a peepal tree, but there was a tree, and we used to play under the tree, and we used to pick up those leaves and collect them and the stones, or there is some seeds also there. We would get seeds also from there, and we would, like, keep it. And then my mother took it out and threw it, and she told us that when you all go out, don't pick up anything from outside and bring it home. Okay. So, and then I, like, overheard my mother telling my father that she's so small, why would she lie? Okay. Because see, my father was not telling my mother that she's lying, but as a kid you can make up stories, and till today I don't know, I'm not certain whether I saw something or it was my imagination. But my sister getting sick was very out of the blue. Like, she had high fever.
Did she also see something?
No, not that time. But she has had similar experiences. Like, she has she's also experienced, like, seen some things, like, in another house. My mother had the strongest experience, especially when she was, like, she was expecting my brother. That was in another house. So she at that time, we not many families had phones, right? We only had landlines that time. So she used to write letters to my nani. Okay, So uh, one afternoon, like my father is off to work, my sister and I we are in school, and that house, the other house, was like, it had a ground floor and a top floor, and the top floor was like, the flooring was wooden. It was not concrete, it was wooden. So when in the afternoons after lunch, my mother would write letters to my nani and nana. Okay, so one day, what happened, while she was writing, she could feel the whole bed shaking.
Oh, okay.
And even though I know that Assam is an earthquake prone area, later on when she inquired, she got to know that there was no earthquake, and she could feel the bed moving very strongly. And in that house, my father had experienced a lot of things, like some I wouldn't want to mention. Like, he would come back from work at night, like late at night, like 2:33 maybe, or sometimes after 12. He would hear very soft music from the hall. Like, in the ground floor, we had the kitchen, dining area, and the hall. So, like, when you enter, you have two entrances. So he used to enter through the hall. He would hear soft music, but when he would go and check the music system, it was all off. Yeah. And I remember in that house, like, I used to cry a lot, and I used to tell my mother that when are we moving out from here? Because that was a transferable job. Like, within the same state, you move from one place to another. Once my brother was born, my Masi had also experienced some things.
I think it is, if we see the thing from this angle, it's because of the place
Yes.
that you are placed at. See, according to me, all these experiences are because of the energies around you.
Yes.
Okay, so mostly negative, mostly negative. So, like you said, you picked up something from the tree that might have some kind of negative energy associated with it.
Yes.
So which somehow connects with the spirit that you saw.
Yes.
And same thing with your mom and your father. The area might have some because see, everything is energies around us. Even the positive thing that we see, even the God that we see, that's we can see it as a supreme power. Okay, a supreme being. For each religion, they have their own names, but according to me, it's just a single celestial power.
Yes.
That is a positive energy. Okay, and similarly, to balance that, there has to be a negative energy.
Correct.
And those negative energies may be localized at a few centers.
Yes.
And see, according to me, most of the people, see, all of us do not experience this.
Yes.
The, what do you say, this hauntings or these experiences, because it depends on a lot of factors, that where you are,
Yes.
what kind of energies around you, and how vulnerable you are.
Yes, that is important.
Vulnerable you are. Okay, now see, you have seen a lot of movies where they do a lot of exorcism or something like that. Why are ghosts scared of that? So mostly the logical thing can be, it's about the belief that you have. Okay, so if you believe in something, you are from inside somewhat, the strength is more, you have more strength. Because if you have a belief, for example, for my case, I have the Hanuman Chalisa in my mind. I
By
recite
heart,
it
yeah.
every day by heart.
Yeah.
So I have a kind of a belief in me that if I am ever scared, I can recite that and I can overcome it. So there's a possibility that I might never experience a haunting in my life. Okay, and similar cases for a lot of people. But if you are vulnerable up to a point, you might experience that negative energy. You are more prone to that negative energy.
Yes.
You can see a lot of people, even when I hear the podcast, you see a lot of people are have experienced this multiple times.
Yes.
Why? Because you are more prone to that negative energy, because the energy can overcome you, sense you, because of your vulnerability.
Yeah.
And like you said, your mother was expecting your
Yes.
brother, and that is a vulnerable situation.
Yeah.
And that negative energy could impact and make her feel that we are here.
Yeah.
So just a logical
Yeah,
explanation
yeah,
that I'm
yeah.
trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we cannot disprove the thing that it doesn't exist, but you experiencing it is based on certain situations, certain factors.
Yeah. And there's another time now that you're saying, my mother, like if I remember, my father and my mother, they are the ones who have experienced it the most.
Okay.
Not just in that house, I think in another house that we had stayed, my mother, and with my mother, it's kind of violent.
Okay.
Like, you know, it's physical. Like she sees things moving physically. Like, you know, these things happened way back in the past, okay? You remember the Conjuring movie? Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. So when I watched that movie, a lot of things made sense to me from the experiences that my mother had. So, like, you know, my mother could see things physically moving, cupboards violently opening. So these kind of experiences I've never had. My sister, my brother, my father, they've never had. My father has had one physical encounter. That's it, and I don't want to talk about it. And like you are right. So when my mother was expecting my brother, she was at a very vulnerable stage. You can say physically also and mentally also. So she was more susceptible to such
Exactly.
encounters.
Exactly. So what I meant to say is like we cannot immediately disprove the thing, because see, like I said, it totally depends on the situation, and whatever is not proven doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But if there's a way that you can overcome this, like I said, it happens when you are most vulnerable. But if you overcome your vulnerability with a certain things, mostly your beliefs, like when you're like for example, a person whose belief is Christianity, they can believe in Jesus. Yeah, they can have a solid thinking in their mind that Jesus will protect me. Or for example, in my case, I like I said, I have Hanuman Chalisa by heart. Okay, so if I ever see a ghost, I'll start reciting that. Okay, and I believe that whenever I say that, I will overcome that situation. So that is the way that this will be helpful for most of the viewers as well. So your beliefs should be stronger than that, which will make you less vulnerable to these things, to the negative energy.
Yeah. Because it is true that, like, you know, if there's positive, then there has to be a
There has to
negative.
be negative.
So it has to be balanced out.
Yeah.
So
And the chances of you experiencing the haunting is completely situational.
correct.
And there is a way you can guard yourself from it.
Yes.
So that was completely off topic that we just went.
Yeah.
You want to add something to that? You can.
No, that's it. I think, like you said, that uh, when you come across a situation wherein you feel that you're getting vulnerable, you should have your weapons. Like your Hanuman Chalisa, or
mostly your beliefs.
Your beliefs.
Your belief
correct.
in a higher power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because everyone has their own beliefs. Even atheist, an atheist person has his belief.
Yes.
He might believe in science,
Yeah.
which can be his way of guarding himself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
correct.
even if you do not believe in God, you will have something to believe in.
Yes.
Yeah. And that will also distract you from that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was that we got totally diverted from the goosebumps thing. But still, coming to this, like you said, this regarding the souls, that is also an energy. And I think there was a very interesting experiment that I just remembered, and you can search it on Google. It is recorded that a dead body, okay, a person who's about to die, his body weight was measured. Okay, that was this kilograms, and the same was measured immediately after he died. So that had a slight difference. Okay, and people speculate that that is the mass of the energy that was inside him, which left his body.
Oh.
So that is a very interesting experiment that was conducted.
Okay.
Now, see, this is something really interesting that I always ponder. Okay, so what happens after that? Okay, and it's very funny because there are a lot of podcasts which are made fun of. So, like,
please don't make fun of this podcast.
I have seen a podcast where Akshay Kumar literally says like, तेरे को बस यही आता है, मरने के बाद क्या होता है?
I know what you're talking about.
So, but still, I think about it a lot. See, the reason why we cannot know that is if the soul
Hmm.
actually exists or not, because once the person is gone, that person is gone. There's
Yes.
no way of that telling us what exactly is on the other side.
Yes.
It's something to be thought about.
Yeah.
For example, like maybe at the age of 100, or I'm saying 100 now, it can be
Yeah.
more than
You're
that.
very optimistic.
Optimistic, maybe at the age of 100 or maybe beyond that,
Uh-huh.
I go to the afterlife. Okay, that is a certain mystery
Yes.
that we will never know. Maybe we will never know,
Yes.
because there is no way of carrying a camera there and sending data here,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Correct.
there is something really interesting and intriguing to think about. So
Yeah.
what exactly is there?
Or
What if once the person goes out from his body, they can see us
yeah, there's a
grieving?
possibility. Yeah.
There is
And I think that has also I think that has happened, right?
out of the body experience
Out
that
of the
you're
body
saying.
experience.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, then again, that's just statements given by people that might be true, might not be true. There is
Yeah,
no way
these
to prove
things,
it.
yeah,
There's no
correct,
way,
correct,
because, like I said, there is no camera that you can take and shoot
correct.
everything.
There's no measure. You
Measure.
cannot measure, record anything.
So maybe in future
Mm-hmm.
there will be some kind of technology which can measure this, because see, even the technology that we have right now, people long time back would not even imagined that we
Correct.
will have this kind of
Yeah,
technology.
that people would be video calling you
Video
from
call.
a different continent.
Exactly.
So yeah,
So there is a possibility.
there's a
So
possibility.
which is why, like I said initially, being a science student, I do not disprove of anything until it is proven otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Because
Yeah.
there are a lot of theories and principles which big scientists have created, studied for generations, and at one point of time some other scientists have proven it otherwise, and the
Correct.
entire syllabus is changed according to that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a possibility. You cannot disprove anything.
Correct, correct.
Yeah. Okay, so like you said, you have also read autobiographies of Michelle Obama. Have you read this book, that Diary of Anne Frank?
Oh yes, yes, I've read it.
You've read it, right? It's a very famous book.
Yes,
and a very
yeah.
heartbreaking story as
Yeah,
well.
of a teenager,
Teenager,
13-year-old,
yeah,
right?
surviving the war.
My God, that is it's a very horrifying account.
Horrifying account, yeah.
Because you are stranded in a basement, right?
Bunker, yeah.
Bunker, and you are writing your thoughts, and
you know that the next few days you'll die.
yeah, you don't know how long are you going to live.
Exactly.
If you're going to see tomorrow or the next week, and you're writing an account. I mean, that's very sad.
Yeah, that's what I said. Heartbreaking story.
Yeah, that's very sad. I've read Anne Frank.
Okay. Have you like coming to a lighter note? Have you read this book, Chetan Bhagat's book?
Yes.
You have, right? So even I
no,
have.
Yeah. Talking of I have read a lot of books. Chetan Bhagat, yes, I've read. I'm not a big fan. I'm sorry. All you Chetan Bhagat fans, please don't,
totally your taste.
Don't hate me.
No, of course.
And don't write nasty comments in the in the channel.
I'm sure no one will.
Yeah. And I'm not a big fan. I liked the movies that were adaptations of his book.
I think there were 3 movies. One was Hello, which was an adaptation of One Night at the Call Center.
Yes, I've read that.
Then, yeah, interesting. But book was far more interesting than the movie.
Yes, yes.
Second one is 5 Point Someone, Three Idiots. The story was completely changed. It was just an inspiration, and both of them are equally good. Yeah. There's a 2 states as well.
2 states, yes. 2 states I've seen the movie. I like it.
There's one more with the Sushant Singh Rajput one, where they play cricket.
Kai Poche is the movie, and which one is the book?
The one with the yellow cover. Three Mistakes of My Life. Yeah.
Mistakes of My Life.
So there are 4 books. Yeah.
And Three Idiots was which book?
5 Point Someone.
5 Point Someone. There's one more book. I think that is one of his latest. That was gifted by someone.
Yes. I haven't read that because this was a long time back. It was a phase
where
I used to read that.
I read a book, fiction, Bombay Girls and Bombay Rain.
Okay, and what is it about?
It's a love story. It's about a guy and a girl. It's the love story of a guy and a girl.
Okay.
Not a very unique one, but I just remembered the name. Then I had this name. I liked reading Amish Tripathi.
Amish Tripathi.
Trilogy. How could we forget that?
So So that's very interesting.
Yes.
Similar to like one we were talking about, Dan Brown's intensive research. This
Correct.
is something similar to it, but based on mythology.
Yeah, I mean, earlier I thought that this is real.
Yeah, but
It's a fiction,
it's a
right?
fiction.
Yeah.
He is kind of logically explaining mythology.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
why Lord Ganesh has a
Yes.
elephant head,
The
or
Nagas.
why the Nagas, why Kali Mata is the dark color, why
And she has so many hands.
so many hands, why
Yeah.
she has so many hands, why Lord Shiva's neck is
Is
blue,
blue.
because he had been poisoned,
Yeah.
but somehow his body fought over it.
Yeah.
So that was a
Yeah.
logical
Yeah.
explanation.
Yeah.
And
Correct. Correct.
that was
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
I read the first part, I read the second part. I could not read the third part. And somehow I lost track of it.
They're very interesting and almost makes you believe that it's true.
Yeah, and the way he logically explained all of that.
Yeah.
And he also has some more books. One is called Sita.
Sita, I'm not sure if I've read it.
Even I haven't read it. And there's also one with, I think somehow it has instances of Ramayana in it as well. I
Okay.
don't remember the book name.
Okay.
But like you said, you reminded me, I have to like revisit those books.
Yes,
I
like
should.
Amish Tripathi is like recommended.
Recommended.
You should
Yeah,
read
yeah,
it.
you should.
It's
Everyone
very
should.
interesting.
Very
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah.
It almost made me believe that Lord Shiva was such an interesting character. He was very like he was very different from what I mean regular
Exactly.
God would be.
Exactly. So Amish Tripathi, he showed the human side of human persona of Lord Shiva.
Yes.
And same thing for all the characters.
Yeah.
So,
apart from that,
yeah.
like we've discussed book series, I've read some non-fiction. I don't know if it comes under the fiction or the non-fiction category, like The Secret,
The Secret.
then Alchemist.
Alchemist. Yeah, Alchemist.
Um, since I've mentioned Secret and Alchemist, I have to mention The Kite Runner.
The Kite Runner. I have heard of it. I have never read it.
It is again a very heart-wrenching tale of a young Afghani boy.
Okay.
So he was, I mean, he comes from a humble background, and he grows up with another boy similar to his age. I don't remember the story very clearly.
Okay.
And the book talks about his experiences, both the good and the bad. Going back to The Alchemist and Secret, like these two books were very very famous at that time, like when I was in college.
Paulo Coelho and Rhonda Byrne.
Yeah.
For The Secret, I'd like to say something. Secret is also, although it's famous, it's also quite infamous. Because, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Because although the principle is quite nice and true, but it is also a bit misleading. I'll tell you why.
The Secret talks about manifestation.
The universe manifestation. So it's also a bit misleading according to me. Although it is, so it missed out some things.
Okay.
According to me.
I don't really remember, so please let me.
According to me, it missed out some things, and it's a majority of the person's view. People all over the world, they think the same thing. Okay. So what I wanted to say is, Secret tells you that if you believe in something, if you imagine, like for example, if you want to get rich, all you do is think about getting rich. Okay, and you get rich.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the essence of it.
Yeah.
Now the most important thing the book Secret missed out is, apart from thinking that you want to be rich, you also have to work.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That thing should be in your mind. You have to ingrain in your body that I want to be rich.
Yes, because
but it's not enough.
Yeah, that's not enough. So basically, the book gave you a very skeletal,
vague idea of that.
Yeah, but maybe it missed out because my memory is so poor. I don't remember what I've read.
There are a lot of books which miss out on these things. Because see, the reason may be the limited space. They have to give their views or ideas in such a limited space. But I think that could have been included in the later stages.
Yeah.
So see, manifestation is true. when you believe
Correct,
in
yeah.
something, the universe conspires. It's the same
Yes.
thing that's written over there, and also it's said in the movie Om Shanti Om, the same dialogue.
Yeah.
पूरे कायनात
अगर तुम किसी चीज को चाहो तो
तो
आई एम
पूरे का
नॉट
हाँ
वेरी आई एम नॉट
पूरे
कोटिंग द
पूरे
डायलॉग
पूरे
बट
कायनात उसको तुमसे मिलाने की साजिश करती है, like
हाँ
it's the same thing, the entire universe conspires to
टू गेट यू टू
get
देयर
you to
दैट
there.
हाँ
It does, but it doesn't mean that you do not do anything.
Yeah,
It
you
just is
cannot
offered you in a plate.
correct. You cannot sit here and think that I'll get rich.
Yeah,
What maybe what the secret missed to say is, uh, like when you are focused that you want to get rich,
you get
you are also working towards it.
motivated. You are
You're
motivated towards
motivated. You're working towards it. All of your actions and
exactly
whatever you do, your thoughts and your action, because your actions are a culmination of your thoughts, right? That's
exactly.
why it is also said that be careful what you think,
Yeah,
because you end up doing that.
yeah,
So your thoughts, your actions are all working towards you getting rich or you getting to a goal.
yeah.
So maybe the secret wanted to explain that,
Explain that.
but just
So
give
yeah,
you a
it could have
skeletal view of it.
it could have been more better if it was combined with this.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something that I
Yeah.
wanted to add
Yeah.
with the secret. Because most people
Your review on the secret.
yeah, because most people they will think that yeah, I have read the secret, I'll just sit on my couch and that's think about it, I'll get rich, I'll get rich. You won't
Yeah.
get rich,
Yeah.
and that's not how it works.
Yeah. I think manifestation is like the in word nowadays. Like,
In word.
I'm just manifesting something. So you can't just think and talk about it. You have to work towards
Work
it, right?
towards it. See, a perfect example is if I am a magnet,
Hmm.
if that's a magnet there,
Hmm.
it won't come attracted to me. I have to, as much as it's coming closer to me,
You have
I have to
to,
go closer
yeah,
to it to
correct.
get attracted to it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah. So that's how manifestation works.
Yes. And what does Alchemist talk about? I read
Alchemist
it, but
was
I
a very
don't.
interesting story about a boy discovering. I think I really forgot. It's a long time. Discovering something.
Okay.
Higher purpose.
Yeah,
or
same
something.
here. So, like these books, Secret, Alchemist, these books I've read when people were like talking about Alchemist, Secret, Alchemist. These are like very good books. So I did not pick out those books on my own without anybody's suggestions to read it. I read them because I thought that, oh, if I read it, then I will be included in that
Okay.
group or in that discussion. One similar, I don't know if it belongs to the similar genre, is The Monk Who Sold His
Monk Who
Ferrari.
Sold His Ferrari.
I've read that
It's
also.
a self-help book. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one book I read when I was in college, Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Okay.
It's about a seagull. That book is about motivation, like you mentioned, self-help. So that is also a good read. It's a small book. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, the story is about a seagull that everybody demotivates. Okay, and then he achieves something like that. It was a good read.
Nice.
And that is also recommended by many people. I've heard that.
I'd like to add one more book called I Am the Mind, called Deep Trivedi, where the book is very interestingly written, where the entire book is written as if that your mind is speaking to you. Okay, so it's about developing yourself, developing your mind. So the narration is like that. Your mind is talking to you on how to improve you.
Okay.
So that's really interesting.
Okay, the book is based on that.
No, the book itself, the writing is like your mind is speaking to you.
Okay.
So it says, I am the mind, I am your mind.
Okay.
And it gives you help that how can you improve yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, what exactly is needed.
Okay.
So it guides you. I Am the Mind by Deep Trivedi. It's very interesting.
Okay, I think I should read
You
that.
should read it. I have it. You can take it along with you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I also have your Sapiens.
Sapiens.
I've not
Although I
written it.
have read a few pages only, I haven't read the entire thing.
Yeah, you should read it.
Because like I said, no, like when we were kids,
Hmm.
we used to continuously like when Saturdays, Sundays, it was just play, read, watch TV and all, right? We had a lot of time, and even after school, there's a lot of time to read. So I used to read a lot of like books. So I'm quite surprised how come I lost touch of it. But right now, I do not get the time, and also the patience level has reduced a lot. because of the work pressure, because of the regular activities.
Yes.
If you sit and start reading a book, it feels as if you're missing out on your work. So because of that, my reason is that why I am not being able to read the books. So that is one of the reason. But yeah, we should make a habit of taking some time and read.
Yeah, you have to take out time. Like,
Yeah.
otherwise you will never have time. So
Exactly.
recently I don't do it very regularly, but I make a point to, because when I wake up in the morning, I wouldn't say I wake up in the morning. I wake up towards the afternoon.
Okay.
So the first thing I have is a glass of water and chai. I have to have my chai.
Okay.
So I make it a point that when I'm drinking tea, I'm also reading something. It can be a book, but I'm not looking at my phone. I'm trying to stick to that habit.
That's
because
really nice.
if you read, or if you've heard famous or very successful people's interviews, they all have a habit of reading. They all read a lot.
Indeed, yeah.
So I think that is one good habit that we can pick up from them.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to be successful?
And also, yeah, that's really true. That's really true. And also, you said a very important thing. According to me, reading also enhances your intellectual level.
Correct.
A lot.
Correct.
A lot. This is something that I myself have felt. Because when I was at a very low moment, during my when I was choosing this as a career, I did not have support of a lot of people.
Okay.
At that time, when I was low, I used to read a lot of books, and that helped me a lot to become who I am today.
Yes.
Because I used to read and do nothing else. Okay, and that developed my sense of thinking.
Yes.
So what I feel is reading does develop your intellect, because subconsciously you are gaining information. Like I had initially said when I started this video, books are a bundle of knowledge.
Yes.
No matter what book, no matter any book, be it a self-help book, be it a novel or anything, it will help you somehow or the other.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Correct. So everyone has to make a habit of reading something or the other. Not on the phones, actual physical books.
Yes, that is recommended.
That is recommended, yeah.
But yeah, you can choose to do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, nowadays there are a lot of devices like the Kindle or a tablets or iPads or something like that.
Yeah, I think that is one takeaway from this discussion or conversation we've had, that reading is one hobby that will. Reading is also like, there are people who are introverts. They don't have friends. Reading, your book is your companion.
Yeah, it's
So
actually true.
I think as a kid, I am not completely an introvert right now, but maybe that time I was an introvert, and that reading a book gave me a lot of solace. It gave me a companionship. So I loved reading books, and that's how.
I think we are common in this case. Even I was an introvert.
Yeah. So that has not left me. That is my, I think, lifetime companion.
Really nice. Yeah.
So yeah, you could develop reading as a hobby.
Yeah, you can.
Right?
You can.
Yeah.
You should. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps you in many ways.
Yeah, true. So that was really fun talking about.
Yes.
I think we talked about a lot of things today.
Yeah.
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 So you have.
And they are like, they were like poles apart, right?
Poles
we were
apart.
talking about your paranormal experiences and books.
That's true. That was the thing I was most excited about, because we did not know where this podcast is headed. Just we had a common thing, that is books, and from there we just went for all the talk.
Took off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this podcast.
Same here.
And I think this is the most fun podcast I had, because
really,
because because we got to talk about a lot of things.
Yes.
Not just a single topic, and it was really fun. It was really fun. I gave my experiences, you gave your experience.
Yeah, and we also we gave our own opinions on how we cannot completely agree or disagree on certain topics.
Exactly.
Like they're debatable.
Yeah. So Anisha, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice, and we had a lot of learning experiences, and I'm sure our viewers also had a lot of something to take away from this podcast, because multiple topics are there. Like whatever interests you, you can take away from this podcast.
I know. Yeah, you can just pick
what
you like.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, nice. Thank you so much, Anisha.
Thank you,
I
Kunal,
hope
for
you had
having me.
fun.
Yes, I did.
Thank you. So that was Anisha, and so I hope you learned something from this podcast. So if you like this video, give this a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family so that they can enjoy this podcast as well and also learn something from this. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, click on the subscribe button that's right over here and the bell button right beside it so that you do not miss any fun podcast like this from my channel. So that was it. Thank you so much. I'll see you again in the next. Bye bye.